going to be here.
Okay.
So she'll be giving us all the tips and tricks for all our budding womenpreneurs.
Super. 17 minutes after 6. Ghanaian Times this morning says government out of touch with realities, according to the NDC, at its present true state of the nation address. Also, Ketia Market, New Market bounces back. Support me to build a winning team, Houghton tells the FA and all the fans. Also, at Justice Ministers Conference in London, Africa supports ICC probe into Russia-Ukraine war, according to the Attorney General. Also on the front page of the Finder newspaper this morning, Goyle donates 200,000 Ghana cedis to increase Apiati support fund to 62 million Ghana cedis. Kumasi Central Market traders say 2024 is for Dr. Baumia. Also, creditor committee lessons for Ghana. It was long and bumpy journey for other countries. Also, Republic Bank Ghana not related to embattled First Republic Bank of the United States of America. And NDC calls for dismissal of needless political appointees at the presidency.
All right. Well, Dr. Baumia is quite prominent on the front pages of the newspapers this morning. He's on the ABC News front page, also on the front page of the Daybreak. 2024 is for you, Kejitia traders to Baumia. He's also pictured here. Now, this one, interestingly, says take cover where civies in town. Ghana Armed Forces cautions soldiers, and there's a communique that's dated the 13th of March. The headline says measures to mitigate threats against service personnel. I take it that following the invasion at Ashaiman, right, there's been maybe increased hostility against our men and women in uniform, and that's why this internal communique is telling them that when they're in town, they should abandon their uniform for their own safety. And what a shame for us to get here where we have so much friction between civilian and the armed forces based on what's happened. But we'll move on. Menshia embraces Baumia Samira at Akwisidaya. We've talked about that yesterday. The ABC newspaper says they're on the side of truth. They have the vice president pictured here. 2024 is for Baumia. Kumasi Central Market traders. They also have the story of the boat that unfortunately capsized on the Volta Lake. There's an editorial here. Media, political actors must display honesty in comparing Ghana's economy to its peers. I think that's interesting. Have we been fair in how we juxtapose issues, countries, different jurisdictions? When it suits us, we'll go and say, at least we have fuel. At least we're not queuing for this and that. The
politicians themselves have not been. I like how sometimes we just try to rope the media in, because the politicians themselves have not been honest with us. We'll come back to this conversation. Let's connect with Felicita Hafianyo of the Ghana Meteorological Agency, joining us on the phone line now with all the weather updates. Felicity, good morning. Thank you very much for your time. How are you doing?
Good morning, Johnny. I'm doing good and better than yesterday.
Absolutely. Great to hear that. Now, what's the weather for today?
Yes, for today, the day is starting with a few clouds in the sky. We expect it to become partly cloudy from mid-morning into the evening hours, where we are expecting some formation of rain and thunder clouds over the middle sector. Those of us in Aksim, Ho, Koforidia, Achimda, Kumasi, Obuasi, we're having 60% chance of rain and thunder today. Moving into the transition belt, we are expecting places around Sunyani, Techimai, Yendi, and Tamale is also on our radar for some rain and thunder, but they are likely not to get the precipitation or the liquid out of it. Some areas will see the clouds with the cold winds blowing out of it. In terms of the state of the sea, for today, we expect it to be rough. We are having some rain and thunder clouds that are drifting in from the Libreville area, so fisher folks should take precautions. The Water Lake this morning is pretty cool for fishing activities until late afternoon into the evening hours, where we expect those around the Akosombo area to have some rain and thunder. So as usual, if the clouds are gathering and it's becoming darker in color and the winds are picking up, they should just advise themselves and retreat and go home, relax, and then resume later in the night. In terms of temperatures, today we are expecting a high of 39 over the north, 34, 35 over the middle sector, Those of us over Greater Accra, Central and Western region, we are expecting temperatures around 32, 33 degrees. So this is how we are expecting it to be for today.
Thank you very much. Felicity Hafianyo there. We can see clearly. On 3news.com this morning, Koko Anyidoho, former Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, he says the NDC needs to organize the economic debate for all flag bearers. Okay, so he tells the NDC. Now, Akufo-Addo does not appreciate the realities facing Ghanaians, according to the NDC's chairman, former General Secretary of the NDC. Also, on that score, Akufo-Addo also swears in 3 new members of the Electoral Commission, and former Old Tafo MP Dr. Anthony Akutose is dead. Gold for oil is a scam, according to Asidun Kite, and COVID brought us 30 billion, but Akufo-Addo has been wasted it in election-related spending, according to the NDC. So that's what you have there by way of headlines for us. It's 23 minutes. Where shall we begin?
Well, this editorial has caught my eye, and especially just of some of the headlines you've read from 3news.com. I'll just give us a quick bite, because I feel as though two things can be true at the same time. Now, this editorial is titled, Media Political Actors Must Display Honesty in Comparing Ghana's Economy to its Peers. It reads as follows. It's not in doubt that Ghana's economy is facing with a wider range of challenges that it has necessitated the move to seek a bailout from the IMF. The main causal factors of the economic crisis have been identified as the deadly coronavirus pandemic, the invasion of Ukraine by Vladimir Putin's Russia. These factors have affected the country so much, it's had to embark on a comprehensive debt restructuring. Now, this editorial goes on to say, oftentimes they cite, and by they talk about media commentators, cite Cote d'Ivoire as a neighbor that has not experienced economic difficulties Ghana was faced with, even with the same COVID-19 pandemic. What this story says is that, well, the IMF has reported that Cote d'Ivoire is being given a bailout of some $2.6 billion to shore up its economy as the pandemic and the war have had a toll on the economy. They also talk about the U.S. banking sector reeling from this. Now, none of this is I don't think entirely it's not disputed. We know that the world and the globe as a whole is reeling from the impact of COVID-19 and the war and so on and so forth. And but we can also attest, it is also true that we have not been prudent in the way we manage our affairs. It is also true that we continuously borrow and don't put such borrowings to good use. It is true that we are wasteful. It is also true that our priorities are not where they need to be oftentimes. So yes, you can cite examples of the West, of what's going in Cote d'Ivoire, also needing a bailout, and so on and so forth. That can be true, that is true, but these other factors are true.
I honestly think that every time, and well, you can say, but the media is blamable to a certain extent, because I've always spoken about the ownership of media, and I've spoken about how people are recruited into the media, and on what basis that recruitment is made. That's one leg of it. And then you look at who is paying who to do what within the media space. So if I have been employed by a politician who owns a media house, you don't expect me to be the one biting that politician, and there's some of them who are, straight jacket political media houses that get, so you can blame the media on that score. However, if you come in, it's strange that our government keeps talking about COVID, Russia, Ukraine as being the cause of whatever economic situations we find ourselves in. You would find the opposition also drumming it home that, well, it's not COVID, Russia, Ukraine. At least we know the audit report that was done that COVID is not blamable. That when the president told us that he's not being reckless in spending COVID money, the story of Felicity Tete up there in San Enrico in the northern region is just one example that defeats what the president said. So that cannot be. We have to be very intentional about being honest with the people. That aside, I also think that in trying to weigh the next elections makes more sense and more meaning to the political class than actually trying to govern. When you are elected into power, you are supposed to be governing the people. You are not supposed to be thinking of the next election, the detriment of the well-being of the people. But that's what we have. I mean, and this has been our narrative since 1992, when we set off on this Fourth Republican journey. It is always about the next election. And the people are caught suffering in the middle. So when you come back and you want to blame, play the blame game, where have you put the people? Where are they in the equation? The whole conversation is just about who's going to win the next election.
That's right.
So how do you then come and blame the media? Because the media will only cover what's there. The media has a right to set the agenda. The media will have to do priming and framing. But then at the bottom, at the heart of it, it is what is news that will be covered by the media. The NDC had a press conference yesterday.
That's right.
The media will cover it. It's on the front pages. Dr. Baumia was in KTI yesterday. I mean, the market, we were told, had to be shut down by the professionals. Suddenly he gets in there. He has a conversation with them. The market women are agitating. It's opened. Because as of yesterday, the officials said that we're going to open the market for just 3 hours for you to be able to get whatever it is that you want and go, because we are not done with our investigations and we need to cordon off the place. So suddenly the whole market is open because there's political influence in it. The media will report it. What has the media done? What else can the media do?
What else can the media
Because if the professionals, the fire service professionals, couldn't stick to their grounds and say, sir, we're sorry, but we cannot open the market up because of A, B, C, and D. And the vice president, I don't know what conversation they had. For example, hypothetically, could have said, no, I want it open now because it may give us some bad press, and the market is open. What is the media supposed to do? Are we not supposed to report what's there?
Exactly.
So why do you blame the media? Yeah, you can't blame the media. The media is just there to give fair coverage.
That's right.
So NDC did their press conference. The media has covered it. Nanado yesterday saw in some people. The media has covered it. But Dr. Baumia is in the news. The media has covered it. John Mahama and his folks, I'm told, today will file their nomination. The media will be there to cover it. So what again do you want the media to do? What do you want the media to do?
Questions that need answers. But that piece caught my attention.
Anyway, well, I mean, good piece though. 6:30 is the time now. The National Democratic Congress wants President Akufo-Addo to remove what they describe as needless offices created at the Jubilee House. According to the party, many of the auxiliary appointments at the Jubilee House rather create avenues to merely waste public funds. The NDC chairman, Johnson Asidun Ketia, enumerated a plethora of portfolios at the president's office, tagging them as ridiculous and superfluous. Further evidence of the waste of scarce resources can be seen in the many needless political appointees at the presidency in the midst of the worst economic crisis in living memory. He said he finds it unjustifiable to keep these officials at post, especially at a time when the country is going through a financial downturn. And he goes on to list plenty. There's actually a church coordinator. There's a diaspora affairs coordinator.
That's right.
Is there a NAPCO coordinator as well?
I think I recall
the
there
NAPCO
being somebody
program that has ended. There's still a coordinator.
Maybe to coordinate the payments that need to go out. Some 9 months are still owed. So maybe they are still working on the admin of getting that paid.
I don't want to believe that there's a NADMO coordinator at this time.
It'll be interesting to find out if they're still on the payroll. Maybe it's been terminated.
I don't want to believe that there's NADMO coordinator and NADMO coordinator at the Jubilee House at this time. Because the people, those he's supposed to be coordinating, which are the NAPCO people themselves, have been asked to go home. The NAPCO folks are at home without pay. They're at home. The program has ended. So what is he coordinating if he is still at post?
If he's still at post. That would be interesting to find out.
Oh boy. Well, William has just joined us, but the Daily Graphic this morning says President Akufo-Addo urges caution in amendment to Constitution. And Commemorative gold coin project. Otumfuo rolls out responsible gold mining in the Ashanti region. President puts spin on Sona NDC. And Ghana will support ICC to investigate war crimes, according to Godfrey Damiyo. We hear you. Domestic revenue to jump 3 bills to rake in 4 billion Ghana cedis yearly before Parliament of Ghana. On the back page, I want to build a winning team. That's our new Black Stars coach. Pledges to develop local players. We hear you. William, good morning.
Yeah, the major story on the front page of the Daily Guide this morning, which is quite different from what we've read so far, is that Ekufado's education record is unmatched. That's according to Education Minister Osei Educhu.
Well, today he has some engagement with the media at the Science Resource Center in respect of the CSSPS. Starts at 10, but unmatched how?
As for if you
comparing with who?
In terms of numbers, yes, but in terms of learning, teaching and learning, quality of infrastructure, I mean, if we unpack, we know where the unmatched will be. So that's one. NDC attacks president, MPP response. I mean, that's to be expected around this time.
All right.
And on the back page, we want to see a winning team. That is according to Chris Hilton, the new Black Stars
coach. Yeah.
So that will be it for the Daily Guide.
So, for me, this morning, you let me leave it.
Johnnie, what's up?
No, it's okay.
Oh, what's going on?
It's okay. Let me leave it because I may just let's leave
come
it.
on.
No.
You sure?
Leave it.
Okay.
Leave it. Maybe we'll talk sports. We talk about our new Black Stars coach.
Could do, but actually, just very quickly before we do that, we're civies in town. The Ghana Armed Forces is taking measures to prevent further attacks on its officers in uniform by the public. This, the force said, has become necessary following what they are saying is constant attacks on its soldiers by the public. Which may lead to their death. Now, on March 13th, 2023, circular intercepted by this paper, which they also attach, shows that the GFA is showing concern on the issues of continuous attacks on soldiers while in uniform, and they're saying they should wear
civic
clothing when they go into town to avoid being accosted.
It's a sad situation. I say it's sad because back in the day, you wouldn't ordinarily find the military among us. You would have found them because there was a certain military government in place, so they would be in your face. But the moment we chose democracy, it meant that the soldiers had to be taken back to the barracks. So many ex-servicemen have said it. From Nyahota Maklo to Kofi Amoabing to Boachi Jan to generals, they have all said it, that look, take the soldiers back to the barracks. That's the first one. Because of our political experience, we are happy to have them around. We still have soldiers today guarding the electoral commissioner, where we have civil police who could do that job. We have soldiers guarding so many people. So we put them literally in harm's way because they're also human beings, first of all. I mean, their training is, puts them ahead. But then they are human beings, first of all. That's the first point of it. The second conversation is where now they are being told to wear civic clothing. And William will tell you, if you are not on duty after 6 p.m., you have no business wearing your uniform.
Right.
If you are not on duty. There are those who are not on duty who wear their uniform just to go and show off
and in fact, they tell them to also avoid having flashy items and carrying them all around town.
Place A or place B. I mean, there are rules. So, for me, the most regrettable part of all this conversation, which could have cemented the matter, is the president's loud silence on the Ashaiman matter. He is the commander-in-chief, like it or not. Even though he's a civilian, he's a commander-in-chief by a constitutional arrangement. Now, up until now, his military high command, of which he is supposed to be part, has given an order for soldiers to go into Ashaiman to investigate based on intelligence or whatever it is. We all saw the the nasty things that happened there and the public, uproar and people who are raising key concerns. The president has not spoken about it. Now, the military are being told that, be careful, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this, don't do that. There's actually no form of assurance for the boys. And if a human being is attacked, their best form of trying to get back is to defend themselves. So you have actually created a monster. One, because we allowed politics to take over and we're using the military for next to everything. I still see bullion vans riding in town with 8 or so, a section of soldiers following it around. What is our police counter-terrorism and form police? What are they doing? So we are consistently raising a certain verdict against the police that they are not competent enough to do the job by our actions. Now the people we say are competent enough to do the job are coming under civil attack, and we are asking them to wear civic, what do you call it, apparels. What that means is that in future, when push comes to shove and all is lost, there will be no last bastion to call on. That's where we are getting
because
to.
Because at the first instance, that's who we are using.
So when,
what is your last line of defense?
What is your last line? What is it? Where is it?
But I wonder why or how wearing, mufti, as they call it, will help. Because Major Mahama, when he was murdered, I don't think he was in military uniform.
But they saw the sidearm.
And of course, they're talking about uniform.
Yeah.
And secondly, I am looking at how police officers also have been killed. More than even soldiers.
Right.
Armed robbers shoot them. People.
They go into without body.
So I don't think
bulletproof.
it is more of the policing duties that the military personnel or the officers are doing now. And so the interaction with the civilian is too much and too close.
Yes.
It's too often.
And so when you come into society like that, some of the things that happen in society will affect you on a daily basis. So that if you are in the barracks, I don't think any group of civilians will come there
and come and attack you.
So coming into town to do civilian work, these are some, because if you send them to a mining town to go and face the youth, you should know that something can happen to the youth or to the soldiers. And so if it happens, it's not because they are soldiers or they are civilians. It is because of the kind of situation
the people engaged and got used to.
But William, I think what is happening, or what this story is suggesting, is that following the invasion, just by merely having the uniform, there's some tag on you, some animosity, so that you mitigate that. Just because if somebody wants to attack you because you're a soldier, if you're in mufti, they won't be able to identify you as such. I think that's what the communique is
William,
saying.
And that's the point I'm saying. It's not, for me, it's not entirely right, because the police also go there and they get attacked and killed.
William, you know that in the big coaches, the buses that go Accra, Kumasi, Accra, Takrady, all those buses, if you're riding in them at night or when there's an armed robbery attack, highway robbery, and the guys enter, the, what do you call it, the vehicle, and they see a clean shaven, some small mustache, that kind of barracks look, you are the first target. They assume that you are a security person who could neutralize them, so you are the first target. So that thing has been there for some time. And I've had conversations with police people who have said that, look, now it's even becoming, a danger to keep that kind of look.
So those who are suggesting that the soldiers are being killed, if the soldiers are doing civil duties and engaging in the fight against crime or criminals, these are the casualties.
So what William is saying is that it's par for the course. If you engage in this, it's possible
let them go back to the barracks. It's as simple as that.
So if you don't want to get caught up in the criminal circles and you want to just go and defend and on the war front, that should be it.
And you
want to go on the war front, there will be casualties.
William,
that one will accept it. But when there are casualties in the civil space, we're not supposed to accept it, because that's not where you're supposed to.
So don't meddle in civil matters if you don't want civil consequences.
Because on all fronts, they may be casualties.
But you see, William, again, you speak to the soldiers and they tell you they are not happy doing civil
but they
jobs. They are just taking orders. So you see, the CDS literally answers to Dominic Nitiwo, right? Dominic Nitiwo answers to President Akufo-Addo. If President Akufo-Addo gives an order, Dominic Gitwo has to follow it to the latter.
Right.
And if you meet with the High Commander's defense minister, who is their boss, literally, the political head, and he tells them, look, we want you to do A, B, C, and D. That's it. How did we arrive at military men guarding bullion vans? How did we arrive there? We arrived there because we ourselves put up a verdict on the police that we don't think that they are competent enough.
And that verdict was wrong.
Because we failed to retool them.
And besides,
when you
were even using
yes,
wrong vehicle.
When you invite, and we still have the wrong vehicles that have been guarded by
they call them soft-skinned cash in transit vehicles.
But you see, number one, you are sending somebody out to protect cash of that magnitude. The person has no bulletproof vest. The person's AK-47 is more than 10 years old. The person has no helmet. The person has nothing.
And he's sitting in an eggshell vehicle.
He's sitting at the front. Now, when you bring in the military, all of them are strapped in bulletproof vests. All of them are wearing helmet. All of them either they have a G3 or M16. All of them are combat ready. So if you cross, they cross. When you put a policeman, sometimes I've seen a policeman in front of a bullion van with a sidearm, just one small sidearm like that, and he's there with his defenseless head. He's in front of the pickup. That's that like Brodo car.
Yeah.
And as we say,
then when you finish, you say they are not competent.
Johnny, and as we say about the optics, as my sister, my sweet-voiced sister Helen will say, the optics. These foreign police people, if they mark out and they are going, they also look as
that's
solid as the soldiers.
Because that's how they're trained.
That's the point.
Foreign police unit, counter-terrorism.
No why we should discourage the use of the police. There should be no reason.
It is because we know, I mean,
there should be no reason.
In our society, when there's something happening, say, move fresh soldier for no.
We've caused this.
Yes. Move fresh soldier for no.
We have caused
and I'm saying today, the person who declares the election for us to have our next president or our sitting president is guarded by military.
And the military should know that when, as I've said earlier, when they go on the war front, they may be casualties.
That's right.
When they come and deal with criminals,
10 casualties. 10 casualties are allowed.
So they shouldn't come and say that they are being targeted when they have come
into the public space.
But wherever you go and there's crime and there's conflict, there may be casualties. So you are supposed to face one casualty in one small space, one space. That's the war front. So if you have decided to add the criminal circle, then you have doubled your casualties.
So would you say they should just accept the consequences?
But there's a reason why the police are confined to one circle of space where there will be casualties. That's the criminal space.
Yeah.
Then the military should go to the war front.
So everybody takes their share.
The immigration should be doing this.
Everybody has their role.
Yes.
Why are we crisscrossing?
The fire people too have their casualties on the fire front.
That's right.
But if the fire people are all over the place, then their casualties will go up. So the discussion will not be because you are a soldier or you are a civilian.
Yeah. It's because you
so
have...
our answer to this communique is that stay in your remit.
Stay true to your focus.
Because as soon as I go and take the form for enlistment, I am aware that I can die today.
Yes.
As soon as I'm
and if you die today, you're a hero.
That's why your coffee will be draped.
Yeah,
with the Ghana flag
colors,
and your heart will be on it, your sword will be. It is not for fun. So I know that I will die on the war front. But if the system is telling me that I can die also in the criminal space, then the system is the one to see what I'm saying.
Look, let's begin. The Electoral Commission should be happy. The Electoral Commissioner should be happy to lose the military bodyguards. The First Lady should be happy to lose. The First Lady actually has the military police major.
But we're here when
guarding her.
Speaker Bagbin was crying because his military detail had been taken away.
Well, yes, that's the point. So Speaker Bagbin's military detail had been withdrawn, even though he should have known that he's entitled to police.
Yes.
Now, the First Lady, in our scheme of things, there's no space for First Lady, if you ask me.
Well,
there's literally
it's debatable. Maybe officially.
Yes, officially. But where's the space? We have created a convention.
Once there's a vice president, there may be a first lady.
I didn't say there shouldn't be a first lady. I'm saying that if you look at what is the role of the first lady?
Oh, it's to second the first lady.
The first lady has a full major, and in the army, a major is a senior officer guarding the first lady. Just recently, the president had a full brigadier general guarding him. I had to speak about it until the man was withdrawn to the barracks. I think that now he's a major general.
And there's another military man.
Yes, that's a colonel.
Yeah.
Rightly, it's a colonel who's supposed to be guarding the president because of his role as commander in